It was something I always did, like kind of by myself at home as a kid, and then in college I originally went to school for biology, so I wasn't doing very well in school and I was drawing a lot. And then once I really started doing pretty poorly in all my classes, my dad was like, "Why don't you go to school for art?" And I think like him giving me that permission was kind of cool, and that's when I started to plan to transfer to the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, and I haven't done anything since. So that was 2013. Yeah. Cool. Oil paint is like the most natural to me, and I work on primed canvas that's stretched over a frame. I also like to work on panel because it's really hard and you can be rougher with it and you can push into it, whereas the canvas like will tear or stretch if you push too hard. I think maybe I just like the history of painting, the fact that it's always been done that way is really attractive to me, and then trying to reinvent it at the same time. And I like to experiment with oil paint. I feel like you can stretch it in lots of ways. You can make it really thin, you can make it really thick. So I feel like there's a lot of possibilities. So I think that's why mostly oil paint. And light. I feel like just light a lot is something that I'm always looking at. Like whether I'm driving or just I have a moment to sit and kind of look around. I'm always kind of studying how light is interacting with different surfaces. I don't really paint from reference photos, so a lot of it is making marks and then interpreting what I see. And it could really come from anywhere. I'm always inspired by films and movies and books. Yeah. Kind of looks like being alone with my thoughts for a while outside of the studio, getting this like undying like itch to get into the studio, and then just coming in here and closing the door and just like letting myself get a little bit messy. Usually it involves starting a bunch of things all at once, and then something will catch my eye and I'll elaborate more on one part than another. But it's a lot of layers, like a lot of stepping away and coming back and just slowly layering until something kind of comes to the surface, and then I can name it or understand what it's an image of. It's kind of what the process looks like. Sometimes there's a lot of wiping and removing. I use rags a lot. Putting color on and taking it off and seeing like what is coming to life, kind of. And then it's always like using every single brush that I have until there's nothing else to use and I have to clean up. That's a really good question. That is like more of a nonverbal like sense. It just like either feels right or it doesn't. I don't really know how else to explain it. That's such like a formal question, and I think it's usually just about if something feels too balanced and there's no tension, and I want there to be a little bit of tension or discomfort, or I want it to look like something I haven't seen myself make before. So I feel like each painting is trying to reinvent the wheel a little bit. Yeah, I think emotional response. When I look at paintings, I want to feel like I'm amazed that that's possible. Like that's how I want to feel when I look at other people's paintings. Like wow, I wouldn't have thought to bring that image to life. I'm so amazed by like the human psyche and consciousness that that was a possibility. And I guess I want people to feel that way, like just adding to the infinite possibilities of images that can be made. Maybe yes. There's this one painting I did that I called Cavity, which was like really, really big and really deep space, but at the same time it had like this giant border around it, and it's kind of unlike anything I've ever made. I don't know if I'm proud of it, but I'm like, whoa, like where did that come from? And I haven't really tapped into that since, so probably that one. I'm super inspired by a lot of the female surrealist painters that were living in Mexico City, like right after World War II. Remedios Faro, Leonora Carrington, Patty Horna, who's a photographer. A lot of those women who were kind of like building worlds that involved a lot of like magic and alchemy and things like that I don't think were really respected as part of like the art canon at the time. And then a lot of paintings, like historical paintings that are depicting like spiritual realizations, Joan of Arc, things like that.
Okay.
I would say, I mean, I have so many aspiring artists that I teach right now, and it's hard because I see so many different ways to be afraid as a young artist, and I was so afraid as a young artist of so many things. And I guess I would say, like, figure out what the thing is that is between you and like making. Like, is it a fear of failure? Is it a fear of performance? Is it, you know, like perfectionism? Just isolate that and then do it anyway. Like, acknowledge that it's there, but then do it anyway. And also realize there's not really a right way to be yourself as an artist. There's not a right way to make something. Whatever you choose to make is like you're the only you in the world, so it's going to be meaningful and impactful because of that. Yeah, that's kind of cheesy, but I would say.